We're going to call to order the regular City Council meeting, June 18th, 2024, 7 p.m. All members are here and accounted for other than Mayor Keller and Councilman Diaz. And next we got citizens to be heard. We have one citizen to be heard, Ms. Rivas. You have 2 minutes. And I'd like to just remind everybody for reference, use your 2 minutes. You will probably not get much interaction from us, so use your 2 minutes, and later on in the agenda, when we have future agenda items, that's when we'll discuss if anything needs to come on the future agenda that we heard. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to, well, we had a situation with my neighbor who, she doesn't live here. She lives in Wimberley, and she has a house here that they've been working on, and she is very rarely here. And she had asked if she could stop her trash pickup about 4 or 5 months ago at least. And she was told, yeah, she would. And they told her to put her trash by the fence, and the trash can, they'd come and get it. Well, they never did. So she came here about last week and asked if, they hadn't done it yet, and they told her that they had no record of it, and that they asked who the person was that she talked to. Whoever it was, that she's no longer here. She couldn't remember the name. And we're just wondering why she has to have the trash pickup if she isn't going to be here. I mean, her address is in Wimberley. That's it. There.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Where's Chief?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to introduce our two witnesses. First, we're going to introduce Jared White. He was with the Sheriff's Department as well. We're going on.
Thank y'all. We're going to move right along. Item 5, discussion possible action to approve authorization to issue requests for proposal of administrative services and request for qualifications for engineering services for pre-grant application and implementation services for the Texas Community Development Grant Program for the 25-26 Community Development Fund, all eligible activities per the application guidance administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture.
This is for our community development block grant. We put it for each year. Part of the requirements are for us to secure approval from council to see or post requests for proposals for engineering.
We can't hear you very well.
This is for the community development block grant we apply for every year for doing water and wastewater improvements and repairs throughout the city. Margaret Harden is here from GrantWorks to explain a little bit more about this. What we have to do is the first step, get approval from the council for staff to be able to go up to for proposals from engineering and administrators on the grants in alliance with the requirements of the Texas Department of Agriculture seek the grant funds. Margaret, do you have anything you want to add, or just if they have any questions on?
I'm Margaret Barton. There's known Daryl and Lisa for a while, a long time. I've been around. It's opportunities coming up again for you to apply for community development block grant funds. So I've done that for many, many years for water and sewer services. They're about the same. So we just had come out and talked to Daryl about when it came time to start that process, if he would ask the council to give the authorization for him to put the RFPs out for administrative services and RFQs for engineering services to start that grant process. It's a little bit different this time. We're going to do it in a two-phase process. Phase one, you'll have an application. You'll start your application. You'll have to have a public hearing, adopt a resolution to commit to your priority and to your match. And then you'll have to have your public hearing, of course, so any of the community can come and talk to you about what needs they think there are. Again, ACOG is selected a priority of water and sewer, as they have done in the past as well. So we would just like for y'all to move forward on that. And we've also asked that Daryl include us in the RFP so we can apply to y'all to do your administrative services when it comes time. I don't have anything else about the program. I can tell you a lot about the program, but I can't get into specifics.
And Margaret is now with Grantworks. She's been with Langford Community Services that we used for years. And she's with Grantworks. She reached out to us. So when we do the proposals, I'm sure we'll get another submittal from Langford Community Management in addition to Grantworks. And we'll have to do our scoring and everything as required by Texas Department of Agriculture in making the selection. But it'll come back to council for those decisions as we move forward in delineating a project and having to do all of our surveys for the eligibility criteria for low-income areas to be able to secure that. But appreciate Margaret taking the time to come out and reaching out to us.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Let me say my little spiel a little bit. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
Yes, thanks.
All right. Any other discussion, questions for Daryl and Margaret? No. All right. And then we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
You have to say the whole
Yes.
9 hours. If it was only so easy.
I'll motion to approve the discussion and possible action to approve authorization to issue request for proposal for administrative services, RFP, and request for qualifications in engineering services, RFQ for grant pre-application phase 1, and application phase 2 for the implementation services of Texas Community Development Grant Program for 2025-2026 Community Development Fund, and all eligible activities per the application guidance as administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture.
Second. We got a second? That would be Ernie. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, number 6. Discussion and possible action on joining the Medina County Regional Water Alliance, which purposes to facilitate and promote the cooperation, coordination, and joint efforts in management and development of regional water resources and infrastructure within and around Medina County. Is that why Russell's here?
Yes, it is. We discussed this at the last council meeting, and Yancey Water East Medina has reached out to all of the utility providers in Medina County about forming this alliance, and the primary objective of establishing an aquifer storage and recovery system, some way to help ensure future water availability for Medina County. And they are on a short fuse and seeking to know which utilities want to participate in this alliance and be a part of it. They need to do a request for proposal, a feasibility study And the deadline for being able to submit for grant funds to assist with it would be the end of this year. So they're looking at this fiscal year with contributions, as seen in the agreement. It depends on if everyone joins in or not. If everybody participates, our share at 2.3% is roughly around $3,000. But they put in there a caveat: if we don't have everyone to join, it could be up to 25% of the anticipated cost at $25,000. We don't know at this point a lot of details, because that's what the feasibility study will be able to answer. But Russell could probably explain a little bit more in detail on that if they'll have any questions, get those answered.
So the thought process is, and looking at the numbers, I guess, from Medina County, is in kind of a wet year, typically we have about 2,000 acre feet of excess average rights that are not pumped amongst the municipal suppliers. In a dry year, that's down to 300. This year could be significantly drier when everybody's looking for water. So that's the range of available water rights. Of course, in the Edwards, you have to pump it or you lose it, right? It doesn't carry over from year to year. So obviously other entities like Saws and there's Ruby Ranch is up in the Trinity and Hayes County. So the thought process is you take those excess rights when they're available, you store them underground in the aquifer, in a zone of the aquifer that you could recover later. And so basically you're banking those rights which you already have over time. Now that 2,000 is probably not going to be adequate, for all the purveyors. If we look, our growth is probably at 40% in need if you look out to 2070 in the state water plan. And so this may just be a first step at some point. Saws has used the Carrizo for their storage. Probably for us, the zone of the Carrizo is probably south of Devine, honestly, if we stay in Medina County. And then like Ruby Ranch in Hayes County has used the Trinity, which the Trinity consumes most of the county. So those would be probably the two aquifers that we would evaluate basically as potential storage options. We did go on behalf of Yancey and East Medina to the state water plan is putting their plan together right now for the next cycle. And obviously any project like this, if it was going to qualify for state funding, has to be in the state water plan. And so we did get accepted, I guess preliminarily, and the state and the regional planning group authorized their consultant to work with the group to try to get our project into the plan. And so we have basically between now and November to work. That's why we're trying to get the feasibility done in concert with that, to try to get the project at least listed in the plan, so that it can move forward for funding at a later date. So the group has been meeting kind of monthly, kind of ad hoc. The discussion, I think, amongst the groups was to try to maybe get an alliance as opposed to maybe one provider kind of carrying the weight. And so I think they apportion that by meters. And obviously, probably as projects come online, it may not be apportioned by meters, it may be apportioned by the water rights to bring to the table. So there could be different ways to basically fund the project as we move forward. If you look at the state water plan for Medina County, it is showing that we're going to have a pretty significant shortage, right? And we're not actively really pursuing a whole lot. I'll just say, if you look at the list of projects for the future of meeting the county's order, they're all SAWS projects. So basically, they're counting on SAWS to do their part, and it's going to help us because we're in the same aquifer system. And so I think the parties are looking maybe to take maybe a progressive look at the future and try to control a little bit of our own destiny. We'll be looking at basically Edwards rights. Obviously, there's other excess rights that could be transferred from irrigation and other uses to put down. SAWS does that currently in their ASR. There could be surface water rights from Medina Lake that could be available. Obviously not now, but when the lake has water. And so we'll be considering all those sources. Surface water probably has the issue that we probably have to treat before we put it in, and probably treat it coming out, whereas Edwards waters probably don't have those same kind of limitations. And so that treatment cost would obviously play into in the feasibility analysis some differential in cost and treatment. So really the goal is to try to get see which partners want to come to the table, and then work from now until November to try to get the project listed in the state water plan. So that's kind of I think the long and short of it. We've been working to try to kind of help the group to this point, get to this level. Probably on a side note outside of this, I do serve on the EAA board, and so I am your, one of your two representatives from Medina County on the EAA board. So if you ever do have anything from an Edwards perspective, happy to assist the city. It's kind of a side note, but just thought I would disclose that. Yep.
And just a question that I have, a concern I think that's been expressed at our previous meeting, is the past 3 years, while we haven't gone over our permitted acre foot, we're going over our restricted acre foot and having to pay additional revenues for our overage. So we haven't had and don't know when we might have any water that we could even contribute. And being one of the smaller utilities in the pool, it's concern us like, we could invest and spend money in this and start incurring costs on administration, and when, if ever, would we see any type of return? I mean, we haven't figured out even how there would be an allocation on who would get the water rights first and who would get how much, and if it would just be limited to what you put in, or how all of that's going to work out in the process.
Yeah, don't necessarily know all those answers. At the Edwards, we've had about 6,000 acre feet that we put into ASR. Saws has had first right of refusal on that water coming out, but in the last several years they haven't taken it, so it's been allocated back to the users. So I probably can't. Those are all very good questions, and that's probably for most entities, it's kind of an unknown, right? That you're getting into. I assume there's mechanisms in the agreement. At some point you don't want to participate. I assume if there are entities that don't participate, project moves forward, it would probably have to be on some kind of contract basis. I don't know how they'll kind of structure this. My sense is at this point, Yancey and East Medina want to kind of move this forward. They feel like, and they're hoping the other entities and wanting to offer that. But I think the cities and the other purveyors are going to all probably be. They're going to have those same questions, and there is some uncertainty here, right? They've tried to make the certainty, I think, in this first iteration, as certain as possible, so people at that point can make a decision if they want to go forward or not. But unfortunately, this is probably going to be a long process. We're going to go through this feasibility. If it's good, we'll probably try to go get some funds to help. We got to go through figuring out what zone to offer. You can put this in, so there'll be wells put in and testing done, and then you got to get it permitted by the state. So this is not probably a long. Yeah, this is not a quick process necessarily.
This is a 10-year process, I'm sure. If not.
Hopefully not that long, but could be. I think the thing that we have, we're not, obviously none of our entities are being kind of the size of the Saws, right? So obviously they have some. What we do have with the Edwards is the ability to move rights around, right? So the city of La Coste, let's say the location of this thing was down by Devine, right? If the shortest transmission line is to Devine or East Medina or Yancey, even if you're contributing, we wouldn't necessarily have to build a pipeline from there. We could just transfer water rights from one of those entities. So they would take basically the water out of the facility, and you would transfer maybe their rights to the cost or something. Right. So we could have a series of interconnects. So that would be a way to try to, I think, keep the transmission costs down, that we don't have to build a major pipeline across the county to deliver the water. We could do it by the various parties interacting and moving water rights around. So I do think we have that as an advantage as a county, even though we're somewhat decentralized and have a lot of systems in the community in place. So.
And we're already working on interconnects to Coastal Water and East Medina Water. We're waiting on infrastructure to be added by a developer for us to take it over, but it would shorten the distance on tie-in points to interconnect to those two utilities. So within the next couple of years, we're hoping to work through that, if not next year.
You just think of it like the electrical grid, right? We'll be interconnected and be able to move water around between entities. So that's probably going to happen regardless, because we all get into emergency situations and things happen.
So I probably don't have specific answers to your questions, but they are very good ones, and I think the group is trying to see who's interested to kind of move to this first step, and I assume the entities at that point will have to reevaluate, kind of to go forward on their participation.
So just my question on it is, like you said, we can move all this water around, don't get me wrong. So wouldn't it be cost effective to try to do that first and then, try to, do all this major handling that's they're wanting to do now?
It's what the feasibility study kind of determines what the feasibility is of doing that versus reallocating what the options are, what works best for.
Right, but I'm sure there's other entities that are in the same position we are that we just really don't have the money to throw at it at the moment. But if somebody needed some water and we had some left over, we could transfer it to them, or vice versa. Easy enough.
Yeah, and you can do that today even without an interconnect. You could transfer your rights to a temporary lease on the, so that mechanism is in place. I think what this does is it tries to fully utilize the water rights that are available by all the municipal providers in the years where we don't need the full allocation, because everyone is acquiring rights in order to meet these reductions and stage reductions, all these things that we've got to do to manage. But there are years where we have excess rights we don't pump. So, the idea here is to bank those,
Right.
so that in years where we need them, now to have the ability to move it around really reduces kind of our capital costs of that distribution. We don't have to create a distribution network.
Well, yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, that's really where the advantage, I think, is, at least in the edges.
Right.
We don't necessarily have that everywhere, but.
And if we waited till a wet year to start planning this, when we have water rights, by the time it gets implemented, we're back in a drought, it's gonna be in the same situation.
Yeah, obviously, we're dry now, so.
It's an inevitability, I think, with time and growth and the demand on the aquifer and the concerns over the environment, the push to restrict and reduce. This is a necessity. It's just with our current fiscal year and the current obstacles we have on funding and financing, that we may be stretched to meet a $20,000 contribution to it if we don't get participation from the others. So council may entertain a lesser amount and set a limit that we participate not to exceed a certain dollar amount to participate through the feasibility phase, and then reevaluate any participation beyond that point. But I appreciate your time coming in and answering questions. And
Well, and I'm sure Yancey and East Medina for sure, and other entities say we don't participate at this point, but then basically y'all spend all the money and it's all going to work out, then we want in. I'm sure there's going to be a nice price tag to it.
Yeah. I'm just an engineer.
No, I'm just saying.
That's between the entities, the attorney, and you guys. I mean, in all honesty, I'm just trying to figure out, does it work? Is there a return on the investment that makes it a feasible project for us to pursue?
So right now, the question, right now the idea is who's going to participate and who's going to pony up some money for the feasibility. And will that feasibility, it's a pretty broad term, is that something that says, hey, you as a county can do this much infrastructure to create a storage, find where it's going to be stored? Like, how detailed would this feasibility report or analysis be?
So we have to have a level of detail to get in the state water plan. So if we go on and look at the projects there, so it's not a high bar at this point, which is probably why the overall cost is down. I think the feasibility piece of this is about $50,000, and the rest is legal administrative costs. That gets to that total for the year. So what we're trying to do is just look at the state water plan number for population projections, water demands. The hydrogeologists will look at the aquifers and try to determine potential locations where this would be feasible. Then we would basically conceptually design facilities you would need. You're going to need a well to inject, a well to draw. You may need treatment facilities. If we're going to do interconnects, whatever kind of our conceptual plan is to be able to provide the project, then there'll be a high level cost associated with that. Basically, they want that to become a water management strategy in the state water plan, so the regional planning group wants enough detail that they can say this is a viable water management strategy to put into the plan. And so right now, that is kind of our probably hurdle that we're trying to get. I can tell you this phase of it is probably the least costly.
I was gonna say the cheapest one.
This is the cheapest point, in all of this as we move forward. Now, I think the group's hoping by having kind of a coalition and with funds be available at the state, with it being in the state water plan, that we will be able to start offsetting kind of those go forward costs is the thought. I would assume even if you're an entity in the alliance, you wouldn't maybe necessarily have to be an entity in a project, if the project didn't serve you or, so I assume those could be disconnected, and go forward. But anyways, basically the hurdle we're trying to get to is to get this in the state water plan. Without that, we're not eligible for dollars that could come to offset the cost, which will make that burden for everybody that much greater. So I think that's kind of the hurdle at this point.
And I don't know if this is a dumb question, but what's Edward Aquifer's view on it? Because from a lawyer's perspective, seems like the reason that you don't get to bank your rights is so that Edwards Aquifer keeps water in there on some level, right? So if the idea here is that if we don't use all of our water, that we pull it out and we bank it in the Trinity or in the Carrizo or some other source, what impact does that have on the Edwards if everybody takes their unused rights, removes them from the aquifer only to replace it into another holding place underground?
So
Is
I'll
that a
answer
dumb question?
that. No, it's not a dumb question. Very good. So first of all, Edwards is a leaky system, right? It's leaking at the springs. The whole reason we have the allocation and caps is to maintain spring flow. So whether we pump or we don't, it's leaking, right? There's water leaving the system. And basically Edwards has permitted withdrawals on an annual basis. What happens once it's withdrawn? All the EA did was allocate, right? And we've got a set cap that was statutorily dictated to us. So yes, that will probably provide more and more pressure to the system over time. You can see it in this year and why they have the stage cutbacks. So yes, it probably adds pressure, but I guess what I'm saying is I think that's where we're headed. We're fully allocated as an aquifer. That's the cap. Over time, we're gonna have to figure out how to use that better and better. It's the same in the ag industry. They've gone from flood irrigation to sprinkler irrigation. Now that some are going to drip. It's all to maximize that same allocation of water, right? For more or for the same. And so I guess from the Edwards perspective, you have a permit to withdraw that on an annual basis. What you do with it is up to you. Right now, a lot of that's foregone in a wet year, just stays obviously in the ground. But this is the mechanism. New Braunfels Utilities is looking at doing this back into the brackish zone of the Edwards, so they're going to inject and try to create basically a zone of fresh water within the brackish zone that they can withdraw. Ruby Ranch is the other one. They're going into the Trinity with their Edwards water. Saws is obviously going into the Carrizo with Edwards water during the rain. So I think you will start to see kind of more and more of this. And it's just trying to use whatever allocation we have. I think the good thing about the Edwards is we are capped, right? There is some cap of withdrawals. Don't necessarily have that in all parts of the state. So we are mining probably aquifers in other parts of the state that long term are going to have implications. And if you were to store water, maybe in one of those and someone else can withdraw it, probably is not a good investment. So, and those are some considerations as we look at other aquifer formations that we're going to maybe use in this study. So maybe a long answer to your question, but it's really, EAA has permitted some annual withdrawal based on a cap, and whether that water gets produced or not and where it goes once it's out of the ground. We don't control it once it's pumped. So,
Another point to our participation along with the other utility providers is it makes us more favorable in securing grant funding because of the amount of beneficiaries there are to the grant. When you look at the cost benefit ratio on it and how many people are benefiting, if we're a part of the system, and all Medina County is, and all of our residents stand to benefit from it, it weighs higher on it than just Yancey Water by themselves or East Medina by themselves. So there's a factor on that that would help towards getting grant funds from the state to help offset some of the costs as well. There's just, grants aren't promised, so they can't commit that they're gonna have the funds to do this until they get the grants awarded. That's something else to think about as we consider this.
So, in a nutshell, you want us to approve 3 grants so we can be in there and get a feasibility study done?
yeah. I want you to do whatever you want to do. I'm really,
That's
I
what
believe it'll probably move forward.
You're right. Not you personally.
Yeah.
I believe it'll move forward, the project. I think you have 2 major players in the county that want to see this through. That's my gut at this moment. They would like to do that, I think, with everybody as a group, and obviously I think we're stronger and have probably ability to leverage more if all the entities are together, so that there's some advantage to that. But I do recognize, and I don't know that we'll get everyone. It's probably a great aspirational goal, but they may or may not get a right to participate. So.
The representatives from other cities and other utility providers, we're waiting on feedback from their respective boards and councils, but there was a large number of utility providers in support of being a part of this. I don't know if our $3,000 will make or break the project as it is. I mean, there's some other items we have on tonight's agenda regarding finances and funding that we can discuss. If we want to just table any action on this, we can come back to it for the end of the meeting and council do that and work through some of these other items and funding costs on it. And I mean, we can always table till the next meeting if we're still more needed. I just know that they're anxious to find out who's in, to get it all figured out, get it worked through to help alleviate. I think East Medina and Yancey Water at the last meeting both agreed to fund the engineering costs up front while this is being worked out to start moving forward on the feasibility study. So we're not necessarily holding it up at this point. So if we need a little bit more time to come to a decision, I think it's something that, like I said, is at some point it's going to be inevitable with growth and the climate being what it is. It's just the potential for the benefit to the cost at this point regarding other needs and the limited funds that we have. But I appreciate these. Does anyone else have any questions for Russell? I appreciate you coming out and
Yeah,
doing this.
questions anytime. I'm more of a technical guy, not the legal agreement guy. Say that for the attorneys.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank
Is it
you.
okay if I depart, or do you want me to stay for later? I'll do
No,
it.
go ahead.
Thanks, Russell.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks to see all of you. Thanks so much.
I'm gonna motion to table item 6 till further in the meeting to item 20, or between 19 and 20.
Okay.
I got a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, number 7, discussion possible action on the city website. So at the last meeting, Ms. Rivas said that she would like some more information out from the city, a website or some kind of other kind of social media. Any discussion on this, or?
Well, websites cost some money, and you also have to pay somebody to
Maintain it.
Yeah, maintain it.
Right.
Pretty much everybody is on Facebook we already have a Facebook page, it's not very active. If you could go on there and use that for free
Absolutely.
and just turn comments off so it doesn't turn into a mess.
Agreed.
On any public information you want to put on there.
Anybody else?
If we have a website, we can actually post things on there like our city ordinances. That would be awesome. If you wanted to know if you could do something legally in Oxford, I would come down. Other things like that. You can't really do that on Facebook because it's subject to manipulation, but well, I was saying
And just to inform those that may not recall or know, that there's stipulation statutorily that if a city maintains a website, they have to post all their agendas there, all their minutes there, it has to be maintained and updated, and that's where staff with, I mean, right now we're short one employee, and we're all doing the best to keep up, so we would have to contract out to someone to operate, maintain, upload those information to keep all of that up to date in those requirements.
I agree with Jeff right now. I don't think right now is the time for it. Can I say anything? Yeah.
All right. I will entertain a motion if we have one.
Excuse me.
Being there is none, we'll just go ahead and keep this on till the next meeting.
So keep it on the agenda.
Keep it on the agenda. All right, number 8, discussion possible action adopting ordinance number 2406-1801, amending the Coste Animal Control Ordinance.
So, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look at it, but when we talked in the last meeting, we deferred to the health and safety code for some of the impoundment, dangerous dog, there's no really vicious dog, but some of those provisions that are really up and down all over the place right now, and just relying on those. Secondarily, we talked about our difficulties in knowing how to handle impoundment, and if we take in a dog, what we do with it as a practical matter. Here, if we have a statute, to use Chief's words, if we have a statute, but then we have the right to grab an animal who's either running at large or causing trouble in the community, or is injured or sick, any number of reasons, and still what do we do? We had a lot of reasons why we had to revise the ordinance. We had some difference of opinions throughout the last year or two on what to limit and how to limit, and whether we're a rural community or whether we're a quasi, city anymore, whether we want to have dogs and pigs and horses and cattle and sheep. And I think we've worked through a lot of those issues in this latest version. We also had the need to address some of the police department's desires, like I can't trap an animal and then keep somebody from letting that animal out. The chemical euthanasia or chemical immobilization statute sections that chief needed. So I think this, at least as far as I can get right now, capitalizes on the things we have to have and then defers to the state code for the areas that we just don't quite know how to handle yet. It's still not going to make it very easy for Dr. Bell or any other vet to take the animal that he may trap, or your police department may trap. It's not easy to have those funds returned to the city when the owner invariably is not located, but you gotta do something. So I know Chief got back to me and said he had some typographical errors, and I'm sure that Daryl will help us with formatting, referring to the comprehensive plan. But if you guys will give us feedback on everything from typos or areas that you don't like or things that you don't think are steep enough. We have a lot of new members here. I don't think Jeremy was here, Councilman. I don't think we were all here when we first started this process. And so I'm happy to field any questions or revisions that you might want. or you can table it if you haven't had a chance to read it.
I read it and I'm fine with it as written.
Ernie?
I am fine with it as written. However, about several months ago, I had made a request to have it on the agenda regarding what other cities do as far as impoundment, what other cities, what the feasibility would be to build our own facility and things of that nature. I don't have the information. So for that reason, I would have to move to table this until I have that information. But I just never got it.
So, I can't address the cost to build a facility if
Oh, no,
I'm
no,
addressing.
Yeah,
Impoundment varies across the board.
I
So,
understand that.
I can't give you I can certainly do a survey of what, if I'm I wasn't at that meeting, but if I'm hearing your question now, we can do a review of what Bernie does or what Fredericksburg does or what smaller municipalities do when they take in a dog, if that's something that's helpful to you.
Yeah.
But it might be helpful for you to give us hypotheticals or give me those so that I know what questions you might have.
You know, my question is not about Bernie or the Spanko or anything like that. What did Lyle do? I'll tell you, Devine, our local area, what did they particularly do as far as the impoundment problems? Do they have their own pound? Or do we need to maybe make a consolidated pound with the cities? So we have that, so each, you know, Bell or do a body, things like that.
Yeah.
And the reason I would table it is because I've never got that information. This is a format for a running deal.
Councilman Castillo, I've reached out to the city administrators in Devine and Lyle, trying to coordinate with the New County Event Center, the ASR, trying to allocate some time to go meet with them. I know Devine has their own animal care facility, Lyle has their own animal care facility, the county has theirs in Hondo. They've helped us out quite a bit. We still have our agreement with Dr. Bell's office, and when they have availability, we utilize them, and the county's helped us out with it. But I have yet to be able to coordinate a meeting to sit down and go over what their policy, procedures, and costs and everything are in doing something.
I'd like to know what the cost involved in that. It may not be something we can do, but it may be something they're looking at changing out a little bit, and we can do it all together. And that's what I'm looking at.
So the cost is not only going to be the facility, but the manpower, the training, the food, everything that goes involved. And I don't,
That's why I don't think we can do it ourselves, because we don't get that many. But if throughout the county, 10 or 15 dogs are taken.
but we've already been in the situation where the county is overwhelmed and they're not able to take, and then we have Dr. Bell in the same situation. So, I mean, we do have quite a few, and we still have quite a few.
Who are we using as primary?
As primary now, we're using Dr. Bell, but his facility is not available at the time. And we count on the county as the only people we can give to. We tried to go to Lytle. Lytle says they won't take us.
On each case, we call Bell first. If Bell has room, we take it done, do as we always have done. If they aren't available and we have an animal, we call the county to assist.
So on the issues that you're addressing, I don't think it impacts your ordinance at all. If you take in a pet, it's gonna have to go to whatever is available. It's never gonna change the wording of your statute. It's never gonna say it must go to Dr. Bell or it must go to
No.
here.
Like if you take in a pet or whatever, and there's a statute that you have to maintain it for 5 days, correct? Something like that?
3 days.
3 days. And what does Bell charge?
I think it's like $65.
$195.
If they're not, they don't have their
3
rabies.
days.
If they don't have their rabies, he charges them for the rabies and a doctor's visit,
And they pay
and
that to
they
get
pay
their dog.
that to get their dog back.
We don't pay.
Yeah, but if, say they don't pay, if they don't come to get their dog back.
After 3 days, it gets euthanized.
Okay.
Are we
So-
responsible for that doctor's visit? We will pay for the
Pay for the
euthanization,
euthanasia.
I see, which I think that was like $12 or something like that.
But my understanding right now is if there's not room, you're not gonna pick the dog up. That's, it's still gonna be on the street.
And actually,
There's
the
no-
registration will help us return more of the animals we catch if we know who they belong to, and we don't need the boarding pass.
So if there's no room and we have a dangerous dog out, we can't do anything with it?
The dangerous dog, we're gonna do something.
The sheriff could help.
Yes, we will, it will be animal control in Medina County. We've already run into that situation where we have had a dog bite when the dog was deemed dangerous. And they didn't have room, but they took it because the law requires it has to be impounded. And since we don't have a facility ourselves, we fall to the county and they will, in those cases, will make room.
What do we have to reimburse the county?
They don't reimburse
We
nothing.
don't reimburse it and bills us.
Because we've had that happen and it's happened after hours.
Yeah,
And we've been able to get them and they come out.
yeah.
And I think we can pass the ordinance and then put a new agenda item to get more research on
Well, yeah,
all that.
And
all that
that's what I
area.
wanted, and I wanted to do an agenda item 4 months ago, but I never got it. And so, we forgot, we didn't do it, then this is the information that I wanted to get, this type of information. I don't have a problem with the ordinance.
I just didn't have any real information because I haven't been able to get the meetings. I was on their gas system and the water issues in Devine and trying to get their people to commit to sit down and discuss animals that they saw as lower priority and never got back to me on social media.
And what about the ASPCA? They have grant programs.
Yes, I did look into that myself, but I didn't call them or anything on their
I
own.
did.
They're out there.
They
They did good. I
It
mean,
requires the city to take.
To initiate.
The city does.
Yeah.
I tried to find time looking at that.
Is it an initial and then is it kind of like a?
They've got several different.
Several.
Several different ones.
If I could ask you to send me that information and see if I can get
can you
to
put that on
James to take
an agenda item for all the
one of
above?
our grants for us.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe I can get her to.
Yeah, let me get the information, I know what it takes and then I can.
Oh, I don't know, that's got something that, I mean, she's helping the city as
No, that's
well.
fine.
Yeah.
So outside the police department.
So one area that we need to just quickly touch on is, you'll see that there was a section that was highlighted that's supposed to address penalties section. Those will just be formatting issues or whatever typos.
We've made that correction already.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Cited the general provisions under the code of ordinances for ordinance violations.
And then the comprehensive plan.
I've got a fee schedule,
Fee schedule.
been revised with the ordinance on the next item.
Thank you.
Yes, they should be.
Any more discussion?
That's all.
I have a question on the FFA at 4H section. It says the permit's only good for 90 days and for once a year. And I know just the projects we had with lambs, you
It's longer
get them
than
in
that.
July and San Antonio is until February, so,
Right, but the permit's good for the whole year.
okay.
Yeah, as long as it's governed by the FFA program and supervised by the FFA or the FHA or the FD4H, the permit extension can be.
I think
I read
Councilman.
90 days and.
Referring
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that the keeping livestock as an FFA or 4H show animal is limited to one show season of each calendar year and may not exceed 90 days. So maybe we just need to remove the may not exceed 90 days and just limit it to one show season, or?
I don't know what show season is, that's not my, so I'm happy to put in whatever
It's
feedback.
different per project, but like I
Right.
said, I know with lambs, you usually pick them up midsummer,
Okay.
around the second week of July.
He's looking at this one right here.
It could run all the way through Houston, I mean, it just depends on.
Yeah, so if you're winning, you're gonna go
Yeah.
longer.
I see the plan. I just wanted to talk about that one.
Right.
So we'll just adjust that, if that's what council wants
And
to.
it's mentioned
Address-
twice, council, in the ordinance. It's section A, and then again, the lettering seems off. It's A, B, B, and C under section 2.01.009.
Does that need to be one show season? So is it the same show season per animal? Sorry to be so.
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, same show season, only some animals, the growing period's longer,
So
is
does
what it is.
So does show season cover that, or does that allow them
I would think show season more than covers it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because most of the shows are terminal anyway, all the majors, so they're not bringing the animal home after when they go to show, no matter what.
Okay, so what would be on, because I see what Jeff's saying, on that C, it says animals must be registered with the city prior to a livestock exception permit may issue for not more than 90 days and may only issue for the animal once, so what?
So it doesn't, so the 90 days would come out, now it'll kick back to
Show season.
show season.
Okay, so what's the purpose, what would be the purpose of that paragraph there then? Are there animals, would it just not all be,
So you
All of them?
you buy your steer, you're gonna buy your steers in March,
yeah,
okay, but you're not showing them till, January of the next
absolutely,
year,
so it needs to be
February.
a show season.
Correct.
So what's the point of, what is the purpose of that paragraph stating the not more than 90 days?
We're gonna take that out, we're gonna kick back and only do.
I see, thank you.
Yeah,
So which one is it?
She said it was subpart.
So is it A or is it B for? That's the typo that we fixed.
I think we already, when she pointed that one out, he fixed that as subsection, so whatever that change already had, now it'll just take out that.
Before the last one?
yeah, so on the
And
A,
y'all are looking at it as what, letter C?
Yes.
I printed one that I got off my desk, so it's not gonna have the same
She
format.
corrected
I corrected the formatting.
Corrected the formatting and the
So
reference.
change it on hers,
So take it off,
the 90 off.
Yes.
the 90 off or the whole?
Four.
The entire 4?
Sorry,
If it's
four,
still
and
four.
then will we taking the 90 days out of A in that same section?
You have the revised one?
C.
I have the revised
This would do it for us here.
Yes, so that will be, so everything that has, so it'll be just a calendar year.
Last
One
part of
show
that sentence,
season.
just and may
Yes,
not
so this is
exceed
one
90
we're gonna take
days,
out.
just, the rest of it looks good up to
From and.
You're talking about
show
that A.
season per.
But we have to have
calendar
may issue
year.
for not, for one animal
Is
per
limited to
house.
one show season.
So
each
what-
calendar
I'll look
year,
at these too.
And may not.
We just need to remove the and may not exceed 90
See,
days.
then, okay.
You need,
Limit it to one.
you need to
calendar-
remove,
Show season.
you need to remove,
Calendar year.
it needs to be a period after one show
We
season.
can't cut the whole
Delete the
thing
rest.
Period.
for the,
Delete the
just
rest.
the,
Delete the rest.
just the not more than,
Yes, on A.
And
On,
the one where you
yeah,
have C, which is
Right.
incorrect on formatting, that one's be stricken completely.
one
No,
animal
they're fixing it.
in registration.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
that's
wanna keep it.
Just
I
cut this
agree.
part.
After show season. Oh, so that C is gonna be
So C's
reworded.
C's
Yeah,
being
it's 3 and 4,
reworded.
but it'll be, we're taking out the 90 days.
Revise, just to cut this part.
Yeah, there you go.
So the seeking of the exception needs to be in there.
Oh, okay, that provides the exception.
Okay.
Okay. Now that we have amended, do we have a motion to adopt the amended ordinance? And do we,
So that would be a motion to adopt the animal ordinance as amended
as amended, there we go.
during council's time.
And I add on there. As long as each council meeting, we have a progress report on.
No, you can put it on at the end. Every meeting. He wants it on the agenda. Every-
I moved to table.
Requires a second. Being there is none, motion is still carried. Do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 2406-1801, amending the Coste Animal Control Ordinance as amended?
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 240618-01 as amended, the Lacoste Animal Control Ordinance.
We have a second.
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those in favor say no.
No.
You have one no. The ayes have it. The ordinance will pass as amended.
You voted.
Aye. Number 9, discussion possible action adopting ordinance 2406-1802 as amended amending Lacoste comprehensive fee schedule to adjust fees related to the animal control ordinance.
So that, not to be confusing, it's just so that we have one place for all your fees.
Right.
Right. The registration that's required by the ordinance is filled in there for the replacement tags. We went to the same fees that we've had for the past 20 years
It's on
until
page
that's
3 of the fee
removed.
schedule.
Yes.
Page 3 of the fee schedule at the bottom. The permit fees were left in as were added at the last revision for the 4-H permits. The commercial animal establishment license, none of those fees changed. The fees added to the fee schedule is a registration/license fee of $3 per year to date of issue, and a fee for replacement license registration tags of $2 per tag. So it's the same fees that we've charged for the past 20 years. Any discussion can have if somebody feels that that needs to be changed. I just, for simplicity, plugged in numbers that we had previously.
I'm fine with the fees. I don't think it should be something that's,
Outrageous.
yeah.
And we currently have enough tags on hand to last a year, so when it comes time to reorder, if there's an adjustment in cost, we can adjust fees at that time. But we do have tags on hand that should carry us through the next fiscal year.
And what was that fee?
It's on page 3.
$3.
$3 for year-to-date for registration license fee, and $2 for replacement tag fee.
Do we have any more discussion? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 240618-02, amending Lacoste comprehensive fee schedule to add fees or adjust as well. Adjust fees related to animal control ordinance.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say no.
No.
The ayes have it. The motion will carry. All right, number 10, discussion of possible action on changes in salary threshold limits by the Department of Labor and possible impact on the city.
In your council notebooks, I included the U.S. Department of Labor news release regarding salaried employees. They have an effective date of July 1st for the initial change, increasing the minimum salary threshold for salaried employees to be $43,888 per year. What this means is if a person's employed, it makes less than the $43,888 a year as of July 1st, they have to be considered an hourly employee subject to the 40-hour work week and overtime pay. Currently, there's only one employee that this would affect, and that is the chief of police. We have his salary, as was discussed at the last time we did some restructuring, at just over the $35,000. So in order for him not to be subject to having to punch a time clock and trying to conserve his overtime pay, his pay would need to be increased to the $43,888. As of the January 1st deadline, that amount increases to $58,656. That amount, it affects not only the chief of police, but the administrative assistant. Both of these employees make under that level. I do have some recent flexibility regarding some of the salaries. Was going to bring it to the attention of the Public Works Director's report, but our Public Works Director is no longer with us. Thursday was his last day, so we're actually seeking to replace the position in Public Works, but I might be able to swing and make adjustments for that. I don't know. Right now, I'm having all salaried employees punch a time clock, trying to get
idea of average hours worked, so I can figure out what type of impact we're gonna have. If we leave them hourly, they're gonna have some overtime pay. These positions put in 45, 50 hours on a light week. So it's going to end up costing us more in revenue whether we adjust their salary level or not. Because chief takes calls from his officers on the weekend, there's incidents that happen that he has to come out and take care of, he has to attend council meetings, he has to do certain aspects that can't typically be constrained to a 40-hour work week to facilitate those. I do have a call into Senator Flores' office and have not heard back from them on any potential litigation or freezes that this is placed on it. But wanted to make y'all aware of this, and unfortunately I see this, since it's a federal rule that affects not only municipalities but every business out there, that they're going to have a salaried employee that's got to make at least $42,888 as of July 1st and $58,656 effective January 1st of next year. That it's an additional cost. So I know we discussed this year's budget about having to discuss, rates and things like that.
Yeah.
It equivocates to around $40,000 just in salary alone, not alone the impact that this has on TMRS withholdings and taxes. So that's just the salary portion. So probably, if I had to venture a guess, around $50,000 more that we will have to expend out for these positions to keep the level of service that we have.
So total for July 1, I don't remember what the administrative assistant salary was, but
Right now, the administrative assistant position is at a little over 44,000. So hers is not going to become an issue until January.
So it's just chief for now,
So chief would be
and it's about $8,000.
yes. 8,888
8,800.
per year.
So you said the senator hadn't reached back out to you.
There are some administrative positions, some positions that are exempt, but TML has to give us, or somebody has to give us guidance on what kind of administrative position, what kind of, we don't have any professional positions
Right.
within the city. But the idea is that you would have everybody be overtime, and then everybody would be working, 60 or 70 or 80 hours a week, so
Yeah.
they're trying to clamp that down. And I really have never dug into the topic until Daryl brought it up.
So this change came up.
It's, the budgetary problems, so that's why the idea of punching the time clock, so we can figure out, okay, what are we working, and whether the pay through salary or hourly is appropriate for the amount of hours. It's a struggle for everybody, it's small employment.
Well, I'm just wondering if they file, or if they're going to, obviously there's not many days left, to put an injunction on this of some sort, to stop it from going into effect, somebody somewhere of a higher power. Because it sounds like we really don't have a choice. And, you know what I mean? Yeah, we have more time in January, till January, but as of right now, there's nobody filing for an injunction or I'm asking to stop
I've seen
this.
her come across that. That's why I reached out to the senator's office to find out if they were in the know. There's so much misinformation and so much, it's hard to get a clear and direct answer, especially when it involves the federal government and the Department of Labor in this law. And they actually even worked in that every 3 years it's set to increase. So 3 years from now, I may be on the list as well. I
And
don't
right
know.
now, the only thing a city can do until the answers are more clear is to say you can't work over 40 hours. Well, what does that do? we are short-staffed.
Right.
When you're an emergency responder, it's not an option.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's looking like we're just
Exactly.
gonna have to eat it.
Yeah.
But, being, our public works director isn't here, I guess you can allocate money from there over.
I'll have revenue from the gap of employment and stuff there that we can reallocate on salaries over to cover and offset that to minimize the potential for deficit at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
And we do have several projects that are earmarked to do that we haven't done. Some of those was expenditure of coronavirus funds, which we have to spend by the end of next year. We end up having to return it, so I still have to see some of those projects, but, you know, 60,000 was allocated for smoke test of the sewer system, so that project can be pushed till next year, and it would free up some revenue, as we discussed even with the ASR project, as far as being able to keep from having an over expenditure over our revenues for this calendar year.
Some of those funds you won't be able to use, though, there won't be apples to apples.
That's true. Yeah, the salary one though, with it being 4 months at the end of the fiscal year and not having the salary position, and the public works director was not going to be subject to this because he was the only one besides me that was over the January limit.
I got you.
And he was right at it pretty much. So that frees up that revenue from the next 4 months of pay that can offset this, and that'll give us till the end of this fiscal year as we work on the budget with any potential law changes or anything affecting this before the January 1 deadline, and try to get a game plan together on funding staff for the next year.
Okay. Well then, do we have any more discussion on this? If not, do we have a motion? Or do we actually need one?
Well,
If we want to,
yeah.
I'm guessing we kind of need one then, since it's over the $3,000
No, it's not really
an expense.
expense. It's, I mean,
just give staff direction and not have
yeah,
a
so
vote on
it's
it.
really a administrative or policy decision, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
monitor how many hours we're using. We'll have to evaluate what other, through TML and others, what the small cities are doing to conquer the potential budgetary shortfall, or how to reallocate, or whether anybody can be hourly, you know, how that's gonna play out. But, I mean,
Nothing says that this doesn't take effect July 1st, and effective July 1st, I feel like it's necessary in keeping with the state laws and our operations to facilitate the change to retain the salary status.
yeah, the only other option is to tell somebody they can't work over 40 hours, and how are you supposed to do that when you have emergency services?
Yes, when you have
right?
emergency services, you can't facilitate or operate that way.
Or you could put a hiring freeze on all employees and hope attrition is scary.
Yeah.
I heard that.
That's what we want to do.
Well,
I understand we're looking for a public works director.
I see him right here.
I actually had a meeting with Lisa Heron on Friday, trying to bring her on part-time as a licensed operator here to help with some of the reporting requirements that we found are overdue, and some deadlines that are coming up on some other ones that we're doing the best we can, but we need the staff to continue operating and to get that done. So I was to try to see if she would come as a part-timer and help keep our operations services as good as we can, and accept applications and see what I get out of the pool. But I was looking at, it's going to at least probably be 60 to 90 days before I would be able to start making try to fill that position anyway. So that puts it at the end of our fiscal year. So
Well, it seems like you have to identify those positions in your office that are working over 40, and which of them have the ability not to work over 40, and whether those need to be replaced with salary positions, and how to, you know, if Lisa's, you know, just to use you as an example, working an 80-hour week, how you can fix that on the short run, and whether that's a viable option to 2 people or no people, or, you know, in the future.
Right.
And
Right.
it's not really a legal issue, I'm just saying, you at some point, it takes time to go back and reinvent how you're paying and who's doing certain jobs that meet above that salary point. It's really only the hourly employees that are exceeding the amount that's gonna create a huge budgetary shortfall.
Correct. And it takes time to get those baselines on average hours worked per week for salary employees. I can't just do 3-4 weeks with training and doctor's appointments and other things that come out. To get a realistic average of hours worked is probably 60 days to 90 days minimum. So I can say this is the average hourly workload we've got for these employees.
And you can't use your hourly employee to evaluate the needs of the overall.
Because
then
it's a
they're
separate, well, it's a separate responsibility, separate duty, so yeah, I can't actually transition them to hourly at this point without having to pay them the overtime to make those determinations.
Right, okay. It clear as mud.
Yeah. Okay. So back to square one, what are we gonna do?
Do we have to?
I mean, we don't really have any action to do, but so we're gonna wait till July 1 basically, and then either you're going to give chief a pay increase to
If
collaborate with
the
this,
state
or-
mandated, I don't know how to operate that position as an hourly employee.
right.
Otherwise, it
With
has
the
to be converted to a
responsibility
salary
involved.
position and discussed with the chief. I mean, there's no other way around it.
And he is the only salaried employee for that department.
Oh.
Sergeant is hourly, so it didn't have any impact on him. Chief's the only one. And he was gracious enough to help us out and do it at a patrolman's rate for doing the chief's job. Just to help us get back on our feet and get our coverage. But, yeah, it will be, $8,000 increase, for next month if there's nothing that intercepts or supersedes this ruling from the federal
Well,
government.
annually.
8,000 annually for the remainder. It'll be actually prorated. It won't be a full $8,000 because we have 4 months left. So it'll be a third of the $8,000 increase.
Okay.
We'll take it to that pay rate.
Okay.
Christmas coming early. All right, number 11, discussion possible action on approving the 2025 proposed budget for the Medina County Appraisal District. I don't have a whole lot to say. They know what they need, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna make any heavyweight fighting with it. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the Medina County Appraisal District proposed budget.
We have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. 12, discussion possible action on adding lead and copper module to RVS software package to assist with state mandated lead and copper service line inventory.
Another mandate by somebody.
Mhm.
Because that's money.
By October, TCQ's mandated that we need to have a inventory at least started and organized for all of the service lines. So that's all the connections between the mains and the customer's meters. And we need to inventory any that are lead or copper. I know we have several copper in town, but this is gonna take time. This module that RVS, which is our utility billing software, they have a module available that helps to track and provide this data to help compile this inventory. And looking at alternatives and using Excel and everything else, there's a lot of potential for problems in doing that. RVS has a module that's $750 to purchase it, and the annual fee we pay them currently for our billing software is $1,014 a year, would increase our annual payment at $120. So it would take it to $1,134 per year for the billing software with an upfront cost of $750 for the lead and copper module. Staff's recommendation is to move forward with this, but because it was changed to our agreement services with this company, I wanted to take it to y'all for a vote or any input from y'all on the decision.
If we gotta do it, you gotta do it,
Yeah.
whether it's an hour later.
I mean, with having only 2 guys doing it, it would be prohibitive to have them try to come up with their own way to track and develop and log all of it when they go out and do their meter reads. They should be able to pull this information and start working on compiling this database in their automatically generated database to satisfy TCEQ's requirements.
Do we need a motion on that, or is that more like an administrative decision there? So no need for a motion. Perfect. 13,
I think there would be.
I mean, I don't see it, but
Yeah.
There is some money involved.
it's within his discretion, his discretion. I mean, we can do it if you'd like. I don't care.
I don't care. I mean, I know it's money involved. It's well within discretion.
All right, let's move on to 13, discussion possible action on renewing lease agreement with Dex Imaging for the printer and copier services.
And this is, again, to make y'all aware that we do have an agreement for this copier scanner, all-in-one printer that's reaching the end of its term at the end of this month. And they have a very comparable copier. Actually, it's supposed to be a little bit faster than this one, a little bit quieter than this one. The lease term is 3 months longer. And our monthly average, because it includes more pages than what our previous one did, it looks to cost us roughly
So it looks
Was
like
it the 155 compared to the other one, 130?
one is 196, but that's financing for 39 months. Or we can finance for 63 months at 155.
Our recommendation was doing the 39-month term, because that was, the current agreement was 36 months, so that lengthens the agreement for 3 months, and it was, I thought, I don't see the page I had in the actual proposal, it was like a $12 a month increase, and three months longer, so it was very
For a better
comparable
product.
to the same package. That we would get a new copier scanner,
Okay.
keep the same operation, but the Sharp copier they proposed said is quieter than this model and faster than this model. I propose a 39-month Sharp.
All right. Kind of feel like this is the same thing. Do we really need a motion on this?
Now, it's just for informational item on what my proposal is, in case y'all had any suggestions or something I wasn't thinking about.
Good. I agree. Go with your 39 months. All right. 14, discussion on update regarding emergency interconnect agreements with East Medina and Atascosa Rural Water.
As discussed, we're waiting on the utility line to be installed from across acres to shorten the distance for the extension before negotiations on these interconnects resume.
How much longer on that? What are we on the, well,
We're at their disposal.
their disposal, right?
They've
Okay,
had a number of issues and problems and delays and
okay,
equipment thefts and
Oh,
things
gosh.
like that they've been contending with, so
okay.
I don't want to speak for them. I don't know what the completion percentage is or how much longer they have on
No
that.
worries. I was just checking.
Anything else with that one?
No.
Okay.
So that's on the agenda, council request.
Okay.
Discussion possible action on status update on the Comprehensive Planning Advisory Committee and the Capital Improvement
committee meetings and plan.
So, Brian and Greg were both here from the engineering company that we use, and they had given us the maps, updated them with the commercial along the major thoroughfares, residential back behind that, the park, areas industrial, and basically said they just needed more time. Right, to kind of go
Yes, 'cause I
through.
forgot to remind them about the meeting, they had 2 days, that's why.
But that's okay, nobody's perfect.
I would have said that on record.
It was me, I forgot to tell them.
Just
They were informed when the
Exactly,
When
when
they
they
got their
has it
agenda.
up on her.
Yeah, when they were informed at the 72-hour mark when the agendas were posted and the notice was
And it
sent
seemed
out.
like there was just,
They didn't have enough time to get the information they needed for the fees that,
the fees and the numbers
The
for
potential
the.
density and consumption numbers for what impact they were looking at.
Yes. So we scheduled, I forget when we scheduled the next meeting for,
Next meeting
but
was
for
July.
July, I don't know.
it was right around.
18th?
Maybe that's the July you're thinking.
Maybe
of.
that's.
Thursday before the council.
July 18th,
July 18th.
the Thursday after the
That's a
council meeting.
Thursday.
Thursday after the council meeting.
Yeah. So it's moving along, it's good, we've had consecutive meetings.
Good.
I mean, that's a good thing, and almost everybody showed, and
Some good discussion and
Yeah.
actually making progress on it, so.
That's very good.
yeah.
All right, discussion on the November 24 general election positions and candidates.
The mayor wanted to discuss this item and had informed me when he found that he wasn't going to be able to attend if we could table this item to the next meeting.
Okay.
Do you believe so? All right. Discussion possible action on approving the minutes of the May 21, 2024 regular council meeting.
Yeah, that all looked, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 21, 2024 regular council meeting.
I got a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Stop voting.
ayes have it. Meetings or minutes are approved. Number 18, discussion possible action regarding Public Works Director's report.
Do we want to revisit that item from earlier in the meeting, or do we want to wait till later in the,
Oh, I don't care, now it's fine.
it's your discretion.
Now's good. Number 6, or on the alliance, joining the alliance.
I have a hard time with that. I understand what they're trying to do, especially because of the drought we're currently under and needing that water for use. But that's a lot of money when we're already,
Yeah, I
it,
agree.
and
I don't see the benefit.
I don't either.
I mean,
I'm trying to figure out where the hook is though.
well,
There's always hook somewhere.
There's a hook.
And I don't know where it is.
well, the hook, I think the hook is we're gonna potentially possibly give them $3,000 to help with this feasibility study.
Or
And-
more.
Or more, or one, if they're gonna come back and say, oh, well, we just don't quite have enough, we need some more from you.
Yes.
And then 3 years down the road, they're gonna say either, well, it's not real feasible for y'all, but it's good for these over here, but thank you for your participation.
Right.
That's pretty much, yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up the fact as well that we already can transfer rights and do these things. And we're already trying to get an interlocal agreement with Coste County and
Yeah.
And that,
East Medina. Yeah.
We've
and I
got money
think
problems as
too,
it is.
it's something that you want to participate in. You always want to align yourself with your other
Absolutely.
municipalities, but that piece is just a tip of the financial iceberg.
Yeah.
It's difficult for
And we need
you
to-
guys as a municipality on a super tight budget already. So are you kind of giving somebody the idea that you're gonna participate by participating in the feasibility level? You don't wanna suggest to them that you're not supportive, but the reality is it's financial difficulty
Yeah.
for you for only more outlay that you're not going to be able to provide, or at least from the outside observer, from a budget
Oh.
standpoint.
We need another well site, we know we need to expand our waste
Yes.
treatment plant, we need police vehicles, we've had tons of issues with those. I mean,
Yes.
Chief will speak to you on about the police car and that item. Backhoe repairs, I mean, we have a lot of more pressing needs with our operations, salary and pay for
Might be cheaper
staff.
to bring a water pipe in from like Conroe or. Forget aquifer, just truck it in, because it's laying in the city streets.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I think it'll be a great idea if it ever comes to fruition. And I know they're gonna look at us if they do this feasibility study and all looks great, and then they're gonna come back and say, you sure you wanna be a part of it? But now we owe them extra money, obviously. But I'm willing to take the gamble, I think, and I think we're better off securing more, buying acre feet of water to keep for ourselves and leasing it to them or to any other municipality if we don't need it, and banking the money. Because this is gonna take a long time to do, this
Yeah, it
project.
is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just gonna be money. Yeah.
Feasibility study for 5-10 years.
And the other
We're
thing,
paying.
the major players in this, which would be East Medina and Yancey, they don't have streets to maintain or a sewer or wastewater or anything like that.
That may be another possibility is this alliance is formed and they take over all the water operations from Medina County and all the money goes to them, and then how do we keep our streets, pothole repair, streets paved,
Right.
mowing, weed eating, signs put out, all the other stuff that public works does.
We've gotta focus on our city.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Okay, therefore, I will entertain a motion for number 6 to not participate. Unless we would like to amend to, we can reconsider after their feasibility study. It's up to collective.
Can we say
I think,
at this time, we,
I think we could put delay joining until after the feasibility study. I don't know if they
Or
would like that.
reconsider for next fiscal year because of the fund limits we have this fiscal year, that there's
Yeah.
just no way we can join, we can reconsider at the start of next fiscal year.
I would say not joining with the consideration to join at the end of the fiscal year.
And really, the motion is only whether you're gonna take action to pay the money now and participate in feasibility.
Right.
I am highly confident that between your team of city administrators are gonna let them know that you wanna support them, you just don't have the budget restraints. The narrative that Daryl just gave you a few seconds ago, but in terms of voting on this, it's just whether you're gonna move forward or not.
okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. I make the motion to delay joining the Medina County Regional Water Alliance, which proposes to facilitate and promote cooperation, coordination, and joint efforts in the management and development of regional water resources and infrastructure within and around Medina County until the
Next fiscal year.
next fiscal year.
We got a second? Ernie? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion carries. We will not be joining the alliance at this time. All right, your turn, Chief.
As Joe has pointed out to you, we've had some difficulties with our cars. We're down to one truck. We're nursing it along, we're still having some trouble with it. The police car is still over at MVP. We've been in contact with him numerous times, and we've been in that situation now for going on 3 months.
I've received a quote from him Friday afternoon.
I finally went to him and said, okay, where are we at? I mean, you
Yeah.
told me I'd have the vehicle in a week, we didn't get it. And his suggestion was, I still haven't got the engine. The last engine we ordered came damaged. I sent it back. They were supposed to send another, and I'm not getting my money back. So his suggestion was coming back and asking the city if they would go ahead and order the engine and lesser cost, and go ahead and do it. So I brought it back to Daryl, and he spoke with Mike, and the engine was 2,000, I think. What did you say it was?
Well, I spoke with them last Wednesday, and they said that they had shipped the replacement engine 2 weeks before. It still wasn't there. So I asked him, he said he could get a quote from a local provider, but it would probably be a much higher mileage engine than the one that we were trying to get to put in it. But at this point, we need a vehicle. So he gave me a quote for, I think, $2,500 for getting an engine from one of these local suppliers to get one put in. And I've got the quote I want to discuss with y'all. I said if it shows up, call me, because I figured if it's been 2 weeks, it could show up today, and then we've got the engine, just put it in. No sense in us telling you, yeah, we'll go ahead and order the other one. But I'm thinking at this point, it's lost, or he said that he uses these hotshot drivers, he's having problems even trying to track and see where it's at.
Yeah.
But in 2 weeks' time, he's had it for a month. He said it's tying up my lift. I don't want to hear any more than y'all do. We just need to get an engine, get it back on the street.
At this point, it's creating a problem for our responding to calls for service, because we're down to one vehicle. So as I have the schedule set up for an overlap with officers, I'm having to tell officers just stay home until they come in, and it's just not working.
What is the
As far as
difference
the new vehicle that we ordered, I'm still looking at 3 to 4 weeks out. I did contact them. Everything else, we're just waiting on them. We have all the equipment ready to be put in there. As far as like the graphics and the radio, we have that already. So I'm just waiting for the vehicle to get here so we can put it online.
And from what I understood from Mike, we need to actually have the truck go back in the shop for some front end work.
The rear end work.
Rear end work.
Where we had,
So it's operational
on
now?
patrol, one of the officers was avoiding a deer and caught a barbed wire fence. So it got our bumper out, we were able to repair the bumper. It was minor damage, there was no cosmetic damage to the body itself. It was just a bumper with a dent.
Tail light, bumper. The repair cost was less than our deductible, so.
It's one of those accidents that couldn't be avoided. Deer was out standing in the road, and she avoided it. We got real lucky because she came within inches of a guardrail.
Yeah.
So that could have been a whole lot worse. We got her, no harm, no foul. We were able to fix the cosmetic damage to the bumper and bring it back into place, so it's still, workable and everything's fine. The problem is that vehicle's just running 24 hours a day. There are little things that are starting to break down, and it's becoming more and more evident. By the way, the vehicle into play, is that much more time for that vehicle on the road.
I think you get the truck fixed either at Chandler or down in Devine and not use him, because there's no sense in all our vehicles sitting over there.
Well, I agree.
You already got the bumper.
We've had some discussion as to why I'm supposed to be using that, because they want us to keep our business local.
Well, I agree with that. It's hindering our ability,
I understand.
and I don't know that the carrier that he's using is very dependent.
We always want to use the local.
Absolutely.
But if they can't provide the service, we'll go somewhere else.
And I think we're at that point.
There's no bulldozer sales at the cost, we understand.
No, absolutely. No, I'm in agreement. I just think this is the second time with the car, same scenario.
Yes.
So,
And I understand, because, his position, is, I've got to pay my bills, and I've got these other vehicles that are here, I just can't say that, personal life. So, he's just trying to run his business, and get money as well. But that's not helping us.
I guess.
So, moving on from that, I'll go ahead and let you know about the rest. Our code compliance is running really, really well still. Everybody's become very compliant. People are calling and asking if they have an issue, and we're able to directly affect every area so far. So usually we get a call, I've got a problem with my neighbor's grass, we'll go by and let them know, and they're complying. Bocanegra has been a really big part of what we're doing, because he's really established quite a bit of rapport with a lot of people that were in our problem areas, and we're able to get a lot more done. The funny part is that there were some that were very resistant over on the south side that he's been able to work with and got them to do things actually, so it's really, it's been a good thing. With the animal ordinance, I'm glad to get out there and we can start addressing some of the areas that have been of some concern, especially when it comes to the livestock that we've had in the city for so long. Let them know what the new ordinance says so we can get them in compliance. And I'm sure it's not going to change too much. I'm sure there's going to be some resistance like anything because it's something new. And I think we'll be fine. Beyond that, the police department's running well. I've had a couple of people leave and a couple of people come on. So we lost a couple more for moving to other paid positions. And I've got 2 right now that are in process for other paid positions. So I can't blame those guys because going to paid positions, obviously, is a good thing for them. But we're still in a place that's attractive, and I get quite a few calls because the reputation we have out there, we're doing good. And they hear good things about the cost, and there's a place to come and stay. And the way we're doing it, this community-oriented policing style that we do maintain here is something that a lot of people are really interested because you're part of the community, so people are enjoying it. As far as our officers, that's why we really don't lose many. So that's a good thing. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
I skipped 18 and 19 on accident. I thought we were throwing six in with those. Okay, so number 18, discussion possible action regarding the Public Works Director's report to include, but not limited to, the update on street repair status of water and wastewater systems and equipment.
As I let the cat out of the bag earlier in tonight's meeting, we have a vacancy at the Public Works Director spot. Got plans to meet with our contract operator, Lisa Heron, on Friday, trying to bring her on part-time. Nick and Chris they're assets to the city. They're out there doing everything they can. We had some issues with the chlorinator. They called Lisa. East Medina came and helped us out. Got it worked out, got our chlorination levels where they should be. Didn't have to have any type of water notices or anything else. Got it resolved, but luckily they're doing what they're supposed to and checking all that. Have a leak that they're working on getting fixed over on Dennis Avenue. Our backhoe's back. We picked up the rental. Nick said they're having some issues with getting it started, but they're working on resolving that. They're doing all the locates for Rise Broadband. They got 52 line locates today that they're working on marking. Yeah, yesterday and today. For them, and that alone is taking the majority of their work day, going around marking all the utility lines, so if something gets hit, we can avoid having the responsibility of paying. We still have to get it fixed, but we can try to recover some of those costs.
Broadband's still jumping in and fixing it when they tear it.
Yeah, as far as I know, they hit 2 large mains. They hit one here just last week. The company that the contractor that Rise had working here, they pretty much fired. They have another contractor coming in that's supposed to be taking over in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks they hit 2 gas lines and 2 water lines.
Oh, goodness.
And
I've been fixing stuff all over the county.
issues. So
Okay.
I mean,
Just-
Rise is a tenant aware of it, and they're when they get issues with the contractor, they ask them to leave, and they bring in another crew to take over.
Well, that's
They
good.
were pushing within the next couple of weeks, I think, to get this first phase done, which is the northern half of town, and have it active. Then they'll be working on the south half of town.
Okay.
So right now they have 2 crews in town working, but the leak I've tried to put top priority on over on Dennis Avenue. That we've got the materials, from what I understand, delivered to run a replacement 2-inch main to the meat market to kill that pipe out that he showed us at a previous meeting. We just keep going and patching and patching and patching. It's more feasible for us to replace that line and cut our repair costs on having to go back out and stop that valve at the corner that's leaking is concreted in. So we're anticipating bringing Anthony out and having to tap, tie a new line in and get back to that one and bust out that concrete to get down to be able to cap and stop that leak and try to kill out that old line. So it just takes time and coordination. We've involved our engineer's office in it, and I'm hoping that they've already started with some of the ditch work, past the meat market with the line, but we're gonna have to coordinate with those business owners crossing those parking lots and driveways so they have vehicular access and everything as we get that line installed. But I'm hoping within the next few weeks to have that one resolved.
Okay. Who would we, on the road, going past the cemetery? It's outside of our city limits. If you're going out, it's the cemetery and then that place up before the stop sign. There's a tree down. Who would we, is that county or who do we call?
471's right of ways TxDOT, any of the roads that come off of that are the county's right of ways.
Okay. Could we, how do?
So you gotta call
Call
Commissioner Sitters.
Sitters office.
Okay. I know with this rain, just that we're gonna have lots and lots of angels.
The rain,
All over.
how are our creeks set? We're gonna clean,
I saw they
we're
mowed
gonna
them.
go.
I need to start
They're
having
shutting.
some crews come in and check. We've been keeping them mowed and keeping them cleaned out,
I
and
know
culverts and everything else done, but it's coming time this next fiscal year to get a contractor to probably come in and start cleaning them back out again.
Yeah, but for
The sediment
the
and
short term,
everything.
we've got them mowed, we're ready for the rain.
Yeah, the guys have been doing everything they can. We purchased a new shredder from Tractor Supply. The gearbox repair on the existing one was going to be roughly $1,500, and we got a new shredder for $1,800. So we just went ahead and replaced it.
Okay.
Interesting fact, they don't sell the guards with the shredder. You have to buy those separate, and they don't carry them in the store, so you have to wait another 10 days for those to come in. The manufacturer requires, manufacturer says do not use the guards in place, but to get the guards, you have to wait 2 weeks into your purchase, so you can't try it out within your 30-day return window till you get those guards in.
There's
Then
the
you-
hook.
Then you install them yourself because it's an IKEA shredder. And, but we've got it working, guys say it's working great, and,
Come get your
we're
fingers stuck in.
getting back up and running, so.
It's nasty, I see that.
Anything else, Dylan?
Okay.
Under Public Works, I think that's, well, I mean, we're working on our consumer confidence report that'll be going out by the end of the month. The water loss audit report for Texas Water, for TCQ, for Texas Water Development, the Texas Water Development Board on the water loss audit was actually due May 1st, we discovered apparently it wasn't done May 1st. So we're trying to get that, to get the numbers for the report that's due by the end of the month.
Gotcha.
So those are the things, and I have a survey from EAA on our drought contingency plan that I'm working on getting done for them. So there's a lot of things that I thought was being handled that I just recently discovered haven't been getting handled. So we'll get it taken care of.
Understandable. Financial reports, number 21, we can look at those for ourselves. 22, future agenda items. We've got Ernie's doggy pound on there for sure.
Put it on. And
This is
you know,
got-
we
this
make
has
any
got
progress,
triple
just like we're doing
stars.
with the water, I contacted this guy and he said, okay, that's fine. I'm happy with that. But, have it every month, to know the progress of what's going on.
Even animal control facilities,
Yeah,
Yeah,
our contracting with who all we got and all that, what's going on. That's it could run into a lot of money real quick.
Yeah.
We got a lot of strategies.
all right. If there's nothing else, we'll motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Wait a second.